Hi, I'm Isabel, and today I'm going to be going over how to assemble the Burda 6911 pattern. I will start off by noting that with the Burda pattern, your pattern layouts are actually on the pattern sheet rather than the instruction sheet. So you can see how to lay out patterns here on whatever width of fabric that you're using. I learned the hard way that you really need to cut out the back piece first on the fold, because if your fabric isn't quite wide enough to do your front piece and you do that one first, you'll end up wasting a lot of fabric. I will also note some of the instructions in this instruction sheet are not very clear, thus my reason for doing this video, so that maybe other people won't get as frustrated as I did. I also like to copy my patterns instead of cutting them. I like the Burda style tissue paper. This is basically the same tissue paper as what your pattern sheets are. It's just in white, and it's very easy to lay it on top of here and trace it to whatever size that you need. This way you're not having to cut your pattern. It will be available for whatever size that you need it in the future. Also, if you copy your pattern first, then if you need to make any adjustments, any alterations, then you're cutting your copy instead of the original. Also, after I do a pattern, I have these little white half sheet envelopes, and I will label whatever pattern it is and keep my cut patterns in here. For the purpose of this video, this is just a demo. I'm not actually making a finished product with this material. I've used a couple of my husband's old t-shirts for the fabric, just because it is a knit and it's a little bit stretchy. It's not a four-way stretch, but it'll work. I have already done the back, and I've already put the neck facing on here. For this video, I'm not actually machine sewing anything. I'm just hand basting it so that you can see my stitches very clearly. Here's the front piece. I have transferred my marks. Here's the fold line, and here's our center front. And I'm going to follow now step 5 in the instruction sheet and sew the center front seam. And again, I'm basting this so that you can easily see my stitches and follow along with what's happening. I have finished my basting stitch for the center front seam, and now I'm going to fold over for the front facing along the fold line and folding down to that mark, and I'm going to baste this. This next step is just to illustrate the lines in the diagram are not stitching lines as they may appear, but they're actually fold lines, and I've just laid the fabric as it is in a diagram to show this, so that should clear this up a little bit. In this next step, we're going to start the actual twist part. So we have our marks here. And the center mark is a fold line. We're going to fold here, and then we're going to stitch from here to here, and on this mark right here. I'll go ahead and baste that in, and we're only doing one side so far. Don't do the other side yet. Okay, now that we've got that basted, because we started stitching at our marks right here, that actually created a hole here. So we're going to turn this right side out, and then we're going to take this, and I'm going to fold these a little bit, and we're going to go through this hole. You want to pull it about halfway through. That's good. Okay. Now on this side, we're going to take these two edges And those marks that were on the other side are now here. We're going to find them here and here. And match up those marks. And now we're going to stitch from here to here. Okay, now we open this up and turn it over, and you'll find that we now have a twist front. And there we go. Now you can adjust this if you need to get it to lay exactly how you want to. So now we're going to add the back. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I've already put the neck facing on here, so we don't need to do that. And we are just going to base this on here. Let's start with the side seams. Now we've got our side seams done, so let's do our shoulder seams. In the directions, it appears to me that they want to stitch straight across all the layers of the shoulder. I think that looks messy and leaves unfinished edges, so we're going to do it a little bit differently. Let's take our shoulder, line them up, and then the back layer, we're going to wrap that around, or excuse me, the front, we're going to wrap that around the back, and then we're going to stitch that. Now this is our second shoulder. We have it basted in. Now we're going to turn it right side out. And this is our seam. On both sides, the seam is hit, the rough edges are hidden. So let's turn this right side out. And this is the body of our shirt. Now, you can take this basting seam out, and then just blind hem it down with a very loose stitch, or you can just leave it open. It's so far in here, it's not really going to be that big of a deal. Okay, you see you have finished seams, nothing hanging out there, and now you're ready to put your sleeves on. Okay, now I meant to mention earlier, another thing peculiar to the Burda patterns is, instead of the little black marks that you see on other commercial patterns, we have seam numbers that we need to line up. For instance, here's a shoulder seam. This is the front piece on the pattern. You have a number 3 here, and you would need to line it up with the back piece, number 3 here. That's just an example. So we're going to, for our sleeve, let's note that we have a little mark here for 5. And on the sleeve here, we have a mark for 5. And because this is the front part of the pattern, we know that this is going to be the front end of the sleeve. So let's get our pattern, our sleeve done, and then we can line up these marks so we know which is the front and the back of the sleeve. So now we have our marks lined up, so we have the front of the sleeve with the front of the shirt, and we're going to baste this sleeve down to the armhole. Okay, now we have our sleeve basted onto our body. Let's turn it right side out. And there we are. I will note that sometimes this wants to flip up. So just like this one, this kind of wants to flip up and shows a little bit of serging sometimes. So what I'm going to do is flip that back where it needs to be, and then I'm just going to put a little tack stitch right there. We'll pin it for now. And that's all you need to do for that. So this should be enough to get you going to understand how this pattern works. And as I said before, it's actually very, very easy, although it was very frustrating just to figure out the pattern. So hopefully this has helped you. Thanks for watching.